naturally. I do it naturally, baby, baby.
Welcome to Courtside Moms. I'm your host, Wendy Sparks. Today's episode is with a mom, but this time the mom is me. I wanted to take a few minutes to reflect on a few things that have recently occurred in the world, as well as talk about Courtside Moms and its inception. Courtside Moms is near and dear to my heart for many reasons. I saw that there was a lack of information about the pro basketball players that we all know and love, whether it be NBA, G League, European players, anyone overseas, as well as the WNBA. The public only sees them as athletes, but not as regular people, which is what they really are. I thought the best way to have that communicated was through their moms. And that is how Courtside Moms was born. It is important for fans to see other sides of the players, how they grew up, where they grew up, their real stories of how they began to play basketball. Things like who started it for them, why was it started, where did it start, who were or are still their influencers, and many other items. This is vital information to the players and should be known also by their fans. To me, in my opinion, this is a great way for the fans to feel much closer as they can get to know all sides of their favorite players. In doing this podcast, I have met many mothers who you have met on the show, and I have made some great friendships with these mothers along the way. I am a part of a few associations, and we do activities together that have allowed us to give back to various communities. But Courtside Moms is different as it gives the mothers the opportunity to speak about how proud they are of their sons and how being a basketball mother has impacted their lives. Together, the moms support each other as I notice that we are all different, but at the same time, we're all the same. I say that because our experience that we all went through with our kids may have differed a little bit, but it was all to get to the same goal, which was getting our kids to play basketball at a professional level. I look forward to introducing more mothers and sons and daughters throughout the years to come. I also want to talk about 2020. It has been quite the year to date. This global pandemic that we are all currently experiencing is something that no one in their wildest dreams could have imagined. One item I like to talk about is the return of the NBA. It is slated to start July 31st. Training camps have already started. However, in my opinion, it's a bit controversial. Right now, Florida is experiencing an influx of the virus. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. We have players that will be reporting to Florida within the next few days. How will that work for social distancing? How will that work for their testing for the virus? How will that work for them interacting within each other? We all know that there have been some protocols that have been in place to keep everybody safe. But as a mother, I still fear for my son. My son lives in Orlando. He plays with the Magic. He's living in Florida, obviously, where all this is happening. And now he's going to be amongst other people that are coming from other cities. At this point, all we can do is pray and hope for the best. The world has changed as we knew it to be. There's so many different things going on, so many variables, and we have all been tested. Another matter that's near and dear to my heart is Black Lives Matter. This is so close to me as a Black woman, a mother with two young Black men. I'm a proud mother of two boys, Dondre, who is an inspiring young man who is destined to do wonderful things, whether it be with his awesome athletic abilities through football or for his career in e-commerce, which he's working on now. I have another son who I just mentioned is Kim, who's playing with the Orlando Magic. My boys, although they're doing wonderful and great things with their lives, they have been viewed differently from the day they were born. The public sees them differently. The public treats them differently. The public has stereotyped them as differently. However, unbeknownst to them, my kids were raised in Montreal, Quebec. Racism, it exists there. However, it was usually French versus English. Yes, Black men had a lot of issues in Montreal. However, my kids have never experienced racism as such a high impact. So now what's happening around the world is really traumatizing for my kids and for me as a mother. I think I fear it more than they do, but at the end of the day, it's still something that I'm afraid. I'm afraid that my kids now, especially now that this whole movement is more adamant than it was before, I fear that people could just attack my kids just because they're Black men. They could be walking down the street minding their business, driving. My kids drive nice cars, not because they sell drugs, because they're stereotyped that way, just because they worked hard. My son plays for Orlando Magic. He has a great salary. My other son works and he's making money. And they decided to buy themselves nice things. But yet, when people look at them, they call them names. When people see them, they see them differently compared to another race or another man or woman who bought the same exact car. I have an Audi. I have been stopped just because. I know it wasn't because I was driving wrong. I knew it wasn't because of any other reason other than the fact that I am Black. I have been approached walking down the street saying different things, being seen as differently as other women or other races. And at one point, it has to stop. Today, as I look on Facebook or Instagram or many other social media platforms, I see people out there fighting. You know, I say bless the younger generation, the millennials, the ones who are out there every single day and they're fighting for the cause because there's so much racism out there that a lot of people are not privy to, or they're denying it, or they just pretend it doesn't exist. They don't want to see it. They don't want to understand it. They don't want to talk about it, but we have to. I have grandchildren. I don't want my grandkids to have to go through what my ancestors have gone through. I look at my parents. My parents faced racism. My grandparents faced racism. So for me, growing up as a Black woman, I would think that by now this would go away, and it's not. I urge people to get on the front lines and to fight because this is going to change the world. We are now we're raising our kids to love everybody. No one is born with racism. Racism is taught. And when speaking to the mothers that I interview, they are so adamant in raising their grandchildren and even their sons or daughters to love everyone. They also, at the same time, have to teach their children how to protect themselves, whether it be physically or whether it be verbally, spiritually as well. when I talk to these moms, they say, I have to teach my young son that if you're walking down the street and someone calls you the N word, to ignore it, not to be offended by it. It is a big offense, but to ignore it because the people that are saying that to you are ignorant. And at the same time, depending on what area you're in, you might not have a fighting chance. Why? Because who are you going to call? With the police brutality, you can't call the police on the police. It is scary to think that my kids have nowhere to go should something happen. It's scary to think that if my kids are amongst their friends of different races, that they get pegged out. It's happened. I've witnessed it. And it's shocking to see that my kids are just viewed differently. So I implore everybody to stand up and really fight the fight. It is worth it for everyone. And let's teach our families about love. Let's teach our families about race and what's the difference. Race isn't a bad thing. Race is a beautiful thing. God put different races on this earth for us to be as one and not to be divided, despite what some others people think. Courtside Moms will be a platform that will fight against this. Everybody at Courtside Moms is fantastic people. We have a wonderful team. We are different races and we love each other. And I personally cannot ask for anything better as a Black woman to have such a fantastic team through Title League who just love, and we love everybody that we come into contact. Every single mother, every single player, every single person that we touch could never say that we're not all about people as a human race. In conclusion, I implore you all to tune into Courtside Moms. Hear more about how the moms have taught their sons or their daughters to hold their heads up high and just be them, as at the end of the day, no one can take that away from them. As a mom of 2 Black sons, I teach my sons to be their best. Yes, they have to work harder to get where they want to go. I teach them that they're talented because of their skill and not because their color. When I say that, I'm referring to sports where people put the stigma, oh, your son is great at basketball, oh, he must be Black, so he's great. And my son is great because he put in the hard work. My other son who plays football, he's a fantastic running back. But not because he's Black, but because he worked hard. He was standing there at practice like everybody else. I teach my sons to hold their heads up and just know who they are. And with Courtside Moms, we have so many things coming up in the pipeline. We have a lot of projects that are coming up. And these are items that we will touch. I want to make an appeal to the public to get on board and join us. Feel free to contact us on all social media platforms at Courtside Moms. Give us your opinions. Leave us your comments. Leave us your feedback. We're here to make this world a better place. And with that, we need our Courtside Mom fans to show us that you care as well as much as we do. I look forward to speaking with more moms in the future and just learning more about their sons, not only about their struggles, but about who they really are and how they've overcome a lot of their challenges to become the basketball players that we know and the basketball players that the fans absolutely adore and love. Anything you want done, baby.
do it naturally.